Hi, Computer Studies 10. So now we're going to take a look at fonts. Fonts are really important in terms of conveying the mood and the style of your topic. Surprisingly so, just as much as color. You can imagine, something an edgy font versus a elegant font versus a cold stern font. There's lots of different kind of fonts, and we're going to see where we can find and manipulate our fonts in our web page. So to start with, I'll just mention, if we go back to our code, font family is sort of the number one way to change your font, is just that's how it changes. We also learned about things like line height as well. That sort of changes the line structure, and that can actually make a big difference in the readability of your text, as well as the airiness or elegance of your fonts. So those are the tools at your disposal. But you're wondering what fonts do we have available? I think that's a major question. So by default, there are certain fonts that are considered web-safe fonts. So a web-safe font is a font that you can guarantee as a web developer that your audience will have on their computer. The way fonts work in a website is your computer has to have that font installed, and then you can render it. If for some reason you don't have that font, it shows up as a default font or a different font than the designer anticipated, and that's not good. So let's take a look at what are the web safe fonts. I'm going back to W3 Schools, and I'll link this page down in the video description. So yeah, this just tells you exactly what we're talking about. And here we go. We got all these lovely fonts here: Arial, Verdana, Tahoma, Trebuchet, MS, Times New Roman, Georgia, Garamond, Courier New, and Brush Script MT. So these are all fonts that you can guarantee every computer has. And sometimes people will use these as, you can see, like fallback fonts. So you might get a fancier font, but you can actually specify, if I zoom in, here's like a list of fonts actually that you can use. So it'll try to use Tahoma, but if Tahoma fails, it'll use Verdana. But if Verdana fails, it'll use sans serif. So you can sort of at least use these as fallback fonts, so you can choose what the default one is. But you can also just use these straight up, and you can experiment with these and see what they look like. They're actually quite nice fonts. There's a reason why they are on every computer. So use these. And then I'll just mention that there's like these different types: sans serif, serif, monospace, cursive. So we'll take a look at that in a second, what those different categories mean. Because we also want to have like lots of other kind of fonts. We'd love to explore many different kind of fonts. So I'm going to take you to another place where we can get a huge variety of fonts. And that's Google Fonts. Google Fonts is a website owned by Google, of course, that is designed to share fonts and host them so that you don't have to have them downloaded on your computer to view someone's website that uses that font. So it's going to require a little bit of extra work to make that happen, but just unlock so many fonts. So just as this little preview of all the different ones, there's so many. And they get pretty fancy. You can get some fun stuff, and of course, there's fonts that are not English fonts either, which is really handy. Just to mention about the categories. So first of all, what is serif versus sans serif? So I'll show you what a serif font is. I'll just turn off all these categories. Do you see how serif works? Serif fonts have serifs, which are the little kind of like highlights on the letter. You can see sort of like, there's little, I don't remember what the technical term for these is, but little accents that are on sort of the tips of the letter. They're designed to make it more readable. If if it was on printed media, oftentimes digital media actually is more readable without these things, but they do have a very classy kind of look to them, a little bit old school. So that's definitely a cool look. Times New Roman is sort of one of the most famous ones, and there's such a variety within these, but you can kind of see similarities between them, right? Not sure if that, I guess that counts as a serif font. I'm not sure what serifs are in other languages. I just don't know. So what is a sans serif font? So you could think of this as like your Arials and your Calibris. Sans means without in French. So you can see these fonts don't have those accents on the tips of the letters. And this has more of a modern look to it. More of, I guess modern is about the best word I can think of. And there's a wide variety of these kind of fonts as well. Then we have, well, they don't actually show cursive, but handwriting is another word for cursive. So these are very elegant fonts usually, but sometimes they can be kind of whimsical or like childlike, friendly. Just they don't have to necessarily be like this elegant writing, but oftentimes they are. And then monospace fonts are fonts that look like, kind of like a typewriter. Type them. Each letter takes up the same amount of space as all the other letters. So, there's no like skinny, like the letter I still takes up as much space as an O, even though the letter I is skinnier. So that's what a monospace meaning one space. That's how that works. And they can look kind of military, or they can look, official, or sometimes they can look kind of old schooly, like a typewriter. So lots of different possibilities with monospace fonts. This also includes display, which are just a little bit more wild. There's a variety of, they don't really fit into any category. Like, what the heck is this? Like, it looks like it's made, I don't even know. Something or other. So they're like, a lot of like exciting, cool fonts. So you can explore fonts for days. Ooh, look at that old school 8-bit font. Nice, love it. So lots of possibilities here for fonts. You can just search them all and look for things that you think are cool. There's even like, oh, sorry. There's like color fonts. I don't even know like what happens. Like, what emojis. So I'm not even sure what happens when you use these. I've never used a color font before, so that's cool. Anyways, so these are a bunch of fonts you can use. How do you put these into your website? So it's pretty easy when it's the web-safe fonts. You just type in font family Arial or Verdana or whatever. These are the words that you would use. For Google Fonts, they actually give you the code to link your website to the Google Font server so that you can borrow from them. I'll show you how to do that right now. That's a little bit harder. So first you have to add your fonts. So let's say I go grab a display font. Those look like fun. I'll just show display fonts. They look like fun. And you can grab more than one. You can grab as many as you want to. Let's go with, I don't know. Just pick one. I guess I'll grab this one here. I think I probably can just get it. It looks kind of futuristic to me. There's different kinds. You can get both of them, but I'll just get this one. Just press the plus sign over here. Now it says minus, so I can remove it. And then maybe, yeah, I'll get another one while I'm at it. And maybe I'll just grab a random one. Well, okay, here's a little handwriting one. It's very military looking. Sure, I'll get a handwriting one. Sure, let's grab this one. Okay, so I've got two fonts. So where's the code? Do you see this little box over here? It looks like 3 squares and a plus sign. This will show you what you've got, and it'll give you the code. So take a look over here so you can see these are the ones that I've picked, and you can keep adding more if you want to. What you want to do now is copy and paste this code here. All this code is what you need to put in the head section of your website. So I'm going to copy this, and whoa, I got to zoom out first. And then I'm going to put that. I'm going to probably put it right after title. And you can see this. All this code I did not type in myself. That is okay. That's how web design works. So it's going to connect our website to the Google Font servers. Now I can use the words to apply to font family. And just to confirm, you can see, maybe you can or maybe you can't. These are the CSS rules now. So you can put this in or this in, and you can get those fonts going on. So just remind myself which one is which. So this is the handwriting one is Chantel. So that's cool. I'll just copy these over. I don't want to use both of them at the same time, but I don't want to forget what they are. So maybe I'll just put a little comment here. I'll do the comment thing and paste them in. And then they won't distract me or distract the computer. So this is the title one. So I'm going to stick this in for, I think I'll put it in for my H1s and H3s as well. So I'm going to put comma H3. So this will all affect my, all these things. And then I guess I don't want them all to be the same font size though. So maybe I'll just get rid of font size. So there we go. So I've added in that font, and then for everything else, I can put this font in. Maybe I'll put that here. I kind of want this to make sure, like this will affect my H1s and H3s, so I'll put that on the top so that it'll, I think this will apply first. We'll see. I'll go refresh now. So we'll go over to our page and we'll refresh. Yeah, there we go. So I've changed the fonts now. So my H1s and H3s have that kind of futuristic looking font, and my paragraphs and my lists and everything else get that kind of handwriting font. So take a look and see what fonts you see. I bet you'll see some really nice ones out there, and maybe some silly ones that you don't even know why anyone would use, and maybe those will be the most fun of all. Okay, so there you go. That's how you can change fonts and select all sorts of exciting fonts for your website. Thanks so much.